So these are the reason that it's unofficial results is because we've pulled out some of the data from a survey that's currently happening, right? So this is totally unofficial. This is like Steve Kornacki on board before all the votes are in, right? Like, so we got to just caveat with that. But we did want to pull out some stuff for the JetForce community here. For I think you guys are mostly focused on the sales side. Let's see what some things that we pulled out of this initially. So go ahead. Oh man, did you tell me when you don't want to talk?
Bro, the more you talk, the better it is for my voice, because
yeah. Well, I mean, what's funny about this is like I haven't seen this presentation, so we're all kind of learning together. So one of the things is like we wanted to understand customers, their printers' customers' familiarity with digital embellishments, right? So before purchase, only 7-ish% of customers were very or extremely familiar with digital embellishments before printers bought the equipment, right? So once they, which this tracks, right? If they don't have the equipment, then they get the equipment, they're going to talk more about it. Now, 52% of customers are very or extremely familiar with digital embellishments. What's that tell us? It tells us once you get the capability, you're talking about it, you're educating your customers. So there's been a significant increase in customer familiarity, which is downstream customers for the printer with digital embellishments since printers invested in the technology. So this suggests education and exposure have played a really crucial role in market development. And that's something obviously that we do a lot at Tactful as well. So people are talking about it, the downstream customers are learning what the capabilities are. Because what's one of the things we hear a lot of times, Kev, is customers aren't asking for it, right? So they can't ask for it if they don't know what it is that they don't know.
And Warren, you remember last year when we did this study, like the current familiarity numbers were way low. They were like in the 30s compared to this year. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to compare last year's results to this year's results. But one of the big things I think that's starting to pop out is just how much more people are educating their customers compared to last year.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things that I think is important about having these studies and working with WhatTheyThink. Great partnership. Obviously, I've had a long career at WhatTheyThink, so we've got a good partnership there. Having it in the field year over year allows us to compare past years to current years and ongoing years to see if we're having improvement in any of the areas that need improvement, or to see if we're falling off in areas that we were good at in previous years.
Right. Absolutely. We're doing trends.
Well, you know, it'll be interesting after this year to see next year, because last year was like almost the first year. And truthfully, like when we started doing whatever, Kevin, I mean, we started introducing people to it, making them more comfortable to speak. I mean, Tactful was right there in everybody's face, right?
Yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Kinnickle. Good to see you, Al.
Oh, you're on mute, Al.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I got stuck in traffic.
Oh.
No, it's all good, man. We're just going through. Kevin and I decided to pull out some early results from the Digital Embellishment Study that we're doing with WhatTheyThink. So we're just kind of going through some of the early findings. Obviously, it's not final. These numbers can change, but we wanted to pull out some key intelligence that we've learned thus far.
Right. This is top secret stuff, Al.
Yeah.
I like it.
This is top secret. We're gonna get in trouble for even releasing this. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna take hat in hand to the WhatTheyThink team. Richard's
I'll be sure to tell them in case you don't.
Yeah, Richard's gonna get mad at us. He's like, "What are you doing?" Nah, he won't get mad.
So we talk about marketing and education, Eric, and I thought this was kind of interesting too. 35%, almost 36, found the market was more knowledgeable about digital embellishment over the past 12 months.
Yay, Tactful.
Oh, I wish we could take credit for that, my friend. But,
why not? Let's take credit for it. Heck.
Well, let's take credit. But it seems that people are getting a little bit more educated compared to last year when we'd asked this question. It's a significant increase.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that tracks back to what we just talked about before on the earlier slide. Obviously, there's going to be more people familiar as the technology continues to be adopted, and as it continues, the usage rates go up. That's always going to sort of go downstream. What is stable knowledge about? 45% found the market's knowledge to be about the same. Okay, so that's showing it's stable, but we've also got a 35% increase, and then we've got somewhere around 16% found the market to be a little less educated and knowledgeable. What do you pull out of that, Kevin?
Well, and I think maybe some of the people on the call here, probably Al and Warren, could probably give us some good intel. But there's a lot of turnover when it comes to purchasers in the specifier category. So we look, I think 75% of people who buy print for brands and agencies have less than 2 years experience. I think that was a stat that I had seen on What They Think, and I'm just guessing that there's that turnover. Is that something that you run into, Al or Warren, with people buying print?
You know, I tell you what, it really varies. I've got we have a guy that we do business with right now that we actually have him. He has a place in our office. He was a print sales rep, and he did that for many, many years, and he was selling 30-40 million a year. He was a big hitter, and he now lives in Savannah and works out of here. His clients are mostly people he's known for 30 years. And but then again, when I look at like my son, stepson, and daughter, their clients are all kind of brand new. So we get a mix of everything. But I will say this, that the reps that have been around, or the people we're dealing with that have been around the longest, really don't know much about embellishments, because they just never really had it at their disposal during their career.
Sure.
And they're kind of just, we do it the way we always did it. So we're kind of bringing that to them, and it's giving them some new insight. So,
Right.
But the younger folks, they're all about embellishments, and they're ready for everything.
That's great.
Yeah. And I think, no, so far, I think so far the data is telling us that it's more leaning towards the side of knowledge, and the marketplace is stable or increasing, right? That's the takeaway here.
I take it, yeah. But Al, you just said something that made me think. This could be new business. Like, this could be people you're hunting, people who you've never talked to before. There's a lot of new companies being created. This could just be generally, new business that people are hunting that aren't familiar with print.
Well, let me say this: on every new client we go after, we're bringing embellishments to the table day one, because we're counting on the fact that maybe they have not been dealing with somebody that had this before, and we're trying to land their business, and we're not going to. That's a big punch for us right there. So, we always lead with that, because honestly, everybody prints good color.
Right.
Sure.
Really, it's the embellishments that can make a difference. So we push that all the time.
Yeah. Color. CMYK and good color is sort of table stakes, right, Al?
Yeah. I mean, if you can't, everybody prints good color. So that's no longer, that hasn't been a differentiator probably in 20 years, really.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was that opened up a speech. It's like, all right, guys, if you're the low quality printer in the room, put your hands up.
Yeah.
That's not a thing anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do find, though, that people that have been in print a long time have a harder time grasping the embellishment thing than people that I'm talking to that have come into print. And anyone I talk to that's come into print is a lot more open to print in general than some of the, I'll just go with the elders or the grand poobahs who've been around so long, who think they know it all. And then in terms of speaking to people about print, again, ones who've been in it a long time think they know it all. I mean, I remember when we put UV into my plant, and I was talking to local people that have been in print for 30 years that would think they knew more about UV than I did, and nobody ever printed UV here.
Right.
So the young the newbies are really the ones that, if we could speak to and present to, are the ones that will have a greater impact, because they'll appreciate it.
Right.
The older ones are getting a little tired of print, in my opinion.
No, there's something to be said for entrenchment, right? And Kevin and I were having a conversation, I think, yesterday about, and it's not necessarily young or new, but it's young or new energy, right? Like, so you could be in the print business for 30, 40 years, but as long as you've got that new forward thinking energy,
But there aren't many of those.
That's the differentiator. Yeah, but I mean, I think we've got one on the call actually.
Yeah, I said there aren't many. I didn't say there was
Yeah.
none. I said we ain't got many.
What do we got next? What's up? So again, we are surveying printers, right, who have digital embellishment capabilities or embellishment fifth and sixth color. So what are they telling us about the competitive landscape? What are their competitors doing? Competitors are offering digital embellishments just, under half, 43-ish% of respondents say many of their competitors are offering it. But 45% say their competitors do not offer digital embellishment, suggesting a pretty significant potential competitive advantage. So the market right now, from a competitive landscape, still looks really ripe for the offering in terms of, and again, this is data that we've gotten back from the survey thus far. It's still in the field. We're still collecting data. So these numbers could shift, but I don't know, Kevin.
I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked.
That's a high number, I think, right?
That's a very high number. 42% of the people who have been surveyed says their competitors are offering digital embellishments.
But more than that don't.
No, that I was expecting maybe 20% offer.
Oh, really?
I mean, if almost half your competitors are offering this kind of stuff, the market's definitely getting bigger. So I think I think if we look at last year, it was much lower than that. So that's what we're going to have probably coming out shortly is going to be the company.
So what I would like to know is from the manufacturers, how many more machines have they sold over last year that have the embellishment factor?
That's a good question.
Or are more people using it that had the machines that never knew what to do with it? The other thing is it's important when I speak to printers is let's be clear, it is not for everyone. Like if you can't answer the questions, what you're going to do, how you're going to sell it, and how much you're going to charge, you probably shouldn't be in it. But for those that are in it, definitely has some big benefits.
Yeah, no, those are excellent points, Warren.
Well, I think what I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see the OEMs push everyone to have all these embellishments, be fifth, sixth color, foil, whatever, and put it into the hands of people who don't know what to do with, because the embellishment field will become a race to the bottom line faster than ever. And that all has to do with the OEMs making sure they're selling the equipment to the right people. This isn't a tactical thing. This goes back to the OEMs. If the OEMs want to keep a high profit market, and I know you want to sell equipment because that's what you do, please be careful or you will ruin it for your good customers.
Well, I guess for the printers who are offering digital embellishment, I guess my read on this slide now is digital embellishment for digital embellishment stakes not a differentiator maybe anymore, or becoming less a differentiator. So what is that differentiator if it's just not having the capability, right? You got to find what those differentiators are. If half of your competitors are also offering the same stuff, how do you avoid that race to the bottom? And I think that a lot of things come into play there. Selling value, obviously, we'll go into that as well. Yeah, what's up?
I think the printers also have to think about value and profit, and they're not working for free, right? It's a new thinking for the printer. It's not the old school thinking of what's it going to cost me? In the old days, you would take your paper, times it by 3, and that gave you your price. Then it was your total cost times whatever you wanted your markup to be. Now we're looking Now we're looking at how fast you could fill up the shop and how much you can get for it, not necessarily how much per thousand.
Right. Yeah, lots of different things to consider there. Like we teach, market variable pricing. Lots of things that you can do to make sure that you don't leave money on the table. But what so far, what are printers saying about their clients' interest in digital embellishment overall, right? And we're seeing moderate to high interest.
93%.
I mean, it's crazy. Like there is interest for this. I mean, printers that say their clients have low or they're not really certain, it's almost negligible, right? 2 and 5% at that point. So this is really good news for the downstream demand, downstream interest. Really, this is these numbers are really good.
Yeah, no, I think it's Al, and I don't know if Martin, are you a printer or are you with Kanika, do you want to give us a little history on what you do?
Yes, of course. I'm mostly into printing. We are a digital printer in Sofia, and we are making basically all kinds of products, from books to advertising materials. And uh, we have an MGI, but we had it without the foil option
Okay.
until this year, and we now have also iFoil, and now we are using it mostly for book covers and cards and invitations and stuff like that.
Very cool. Al, does that sound familiar?
Yeah, absolutely.
Al's kind of in the same situation. Did you ever get an iFoil, Al?
I
No.
didn't. We looked at it, but I tell you what, we can. The only thing I can do silver and gold foil on my whatever that other machine I have is.
Yeah, the Nobelus.
Yeah, Nobelus. But we can simulate every colored foil there is in the world just by using ink and the varnish.
Yeah.
So if I want to look like I've got a blue foil or white foil or whatever, we can do all that.
Right.
And that's pretty good stuff. I like that as much as I like the silver and the gold.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So people are interested, and I think the honest truth is when you show somebody who's not expecting to see an embellished piece, and you do this a lot, Al. They show up to your shop, and you've already prepared the files for them, and
Yeah,
you hand it over to them. I mean, I don't know about you, but I used to get high off that feeling of just people looking at it going, "Whoa!" And
oh yeah, I mean it's as we said before in this call, everybody prints good color. If you can make it look really different, and I tell you, I'll go as far as say too that the soft touch the soft touch laminates, they're
Yeah.
a big deal too, because when you hand somebody a piece that's got soft touch on it, it feels different. And the soft touch laminates we use work really well with the embellishments, with the the varnish and all that kind of stuff. They really go well together, and we've come up with a lot of cool different
Yes, they did
things
really.
we do.
I'm sorry, Martin.
Yes, it's the same here. It works very well with the soft touch laminates, and also for the menus, for the restaurants and cafes and this kind of stuff. The foil works very good.
Yeah.
The people like it very much, and they are not in our business, so it's something completely new for them. And, yes, they're kind of amazed that they can afford to have their wall printed in gold or silver or something like that. They think that's a good value for them.
Hey, if you guys want a really pro tip, if you do soft touch on top of the foil, so whether you put your foil down with your iFoil, Martin, or Al, if you do your Nobelus and you do your foil, and then you do a big giant solid of foil with your sleeker, do the soft touch laminate on top of the foil, and then put varnish on top of that in different patterns. It's going to give you an effect that's really, really unique.
Hey, that is a good pro tip. I'm going to try that.
Yeah,
like
nobody ever thinks to put soft touch laminate on top of the foil. What it gives you is like a matte foil that then you come by and the varnish will pull out the shininess, and it gives you an
The
effect.
glossy.
You do that too?
I will try that too.
You're gonna
No,
love
I
it.
will try.
Yeah.
Send us
Yeah.
pictures.
Sounds
Post
great.
pictures. We want to see. We want to see all the cool stuff you guys do.
What's interesting about the embellishments, it a lot of it comes down to what market you're in.
Yeah.
Like if I was in Atlanta, I bet you there's a whole lot of people in Atlanta that have different embellishment tools, and you almost have to have it to be able to play,
Right.
because it's already introduced and everybody there is, a lot of the clients have seen it because you got a lot of printers pushing it.
Right.
But you get in my market, and there is nobody in my market with any kind of embellishment equipment.
Correct.
So, if nobody knows anything about it until I tell them about it, and I think for what it does for me as well is if somebody tries to come into my market and they don't have it, they're out of luck. So I do believe it is I would not want to be without it. I'll tell you that. If I was without it, I'd feel like, what's special about me?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's the quote of the day there. All right. So let's talk about demand trends, Eric. What are we seeing?
It looks like increased demand over the past 12 months, roughly 30-ish%.
Yeah.
Mostly stable with an increase, but so again, it looks like demand is stable, leaning towards increasing, very, very low in decreasing demand. So overall trends show stable and increasing demand for digital embellishments, very small percent that are seeing decreased demand, which tracks with all of the other data that we're seeing. It looks like it's lining up, suggests a pretty healthy and growing market for digital embellishment services.
What do you guys think? I mean, those of you who have jet varnishes on the call, where are you seeing? Are you seeing more demand, same demand, less demand than last year?
I'll tell you this: that my big clients that have used it, they use it all the time.
Okay.
That's a key point, and we train on that in a lot of our talks. Talk about that. Once it's hard to go back. Like once you've got that embellished look, it's very hard to go back to plain CMYK. Obviously, as Warren would say, it's application specific, right? It's not like it's not like QR codes or you can't just slap this stuff on it just to do it, right? It has to be the right application. But I think people that see the differentiation in the tactile effects, the visual effects, and it's very hard to go backward once you've elevated that to the digital embellishment level. It's very hard to go back. So
I'll tell you one thing we're going to be doing this semester. We have the world's largest art college is located in Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah College of Art and Design's got like 15,000 students. We are asking to be able to bring in the graphic design people and either have us go there and make a presentation talking about the things we do, which we would push heavily embellishments. Because what we'd love to have happen is for these graphic designers to go out and get jobs someplace, and hopefully they're working with a printer that can't do embellishment, so they gotta call us up. But we are going to push it out there with the graphic design people, and that certainly we hope it helps us. It'll probably help the industry as a whole as far as the acceptance of this.
Well, I think, believe it or not, we have a slide on that later. That still remains one of the top challenges out there. How about you, Martin? Are you seeing more demand, less demand, about the same than last year?
I would say more demand. Again, the people who tried it are using it constantly. They are not going back to the plain looking products, and also it is market segment that is growing right now. There is more interest. Again, it's application specific, but I think there is a good potential for growth.
Right.
Profitability.
Let's talk profits.
Important question of profitability, right? That's how many of the surveyed printers are satisfied with their profits? Looks like about 69%, very or satisfied. Compared to CMYK jobs, 81% report that digital embellishment jobs are always or usually more profitable than typical CMYK jobs. So they're not only they're satisfied with their profitability, and as compared to CMYK, they're saying more profitable than which we would expect. So,
I would hope so. I
yeah,
want
yeah.
to 20%. What's going on there?
What's that?
What's going on with the 20% who are making
Yeah.
more money off their CMYK than their embellishments?
Well, it might not be saying that necessarily, but yeah, I would say, why isn't that 100 for sure?
Well, I mean, it's you know what happens is if we're doing just a 4-color process job and everybody else can do it, and let's say it's with a client that, I mean, most of our customers, we do 100% of the work for them, but there are some that we have to get pricing with with competition. And what happens is if you're going to do it with embellishment, it's not so much that you charge. I mean, we charge the same thing for embellishments on every job because it's in our system, but we just don't have to discount printing when we have embellishments as part of it. So we would go in with our highest print price and add the embellishment to it. But sometimes if it was a job that wasn't going to have embellishments, we may have to go in with a more competitive pricing because there's nothing that makes ours look any different than everybody else's.
That's a good point.
I want to add, talking with my customer, one of the customers in Croatia, he said he had it. Back then he had only the meteor machine, basically the slaking machine.
Yeah.
And he said, I have it. This was the first one from the MGI, their company. Now they also have a Courier Shine, the small one. And he said, okay, I'm on a positive 0 with this machine. But the machine bring so many new jobs for the standard printing because of that possibility for the foiling and everything else. So now they doing everything at my premises, not on 2 or 3 companies. Now they do everything regarding printing and embellishment at my place. So for the first 2 or 3 years, he was basically on a 0, positive 0, a little up to the 0, but it brings so much more work. The standard jobs and standard customers, they put everything at their printing company, not going out.
Marco, if I had $1 for every time I heard that around the world, where customers say, look, it's hard to really calculate the ROI on our machines because yes, we're making money with the machines, but the unique finishing is also bringing in jobs for the other machines, and that's hard to calculate into the ROI for them. So exactly what you said, I think, is something that is a very common theme across the world, from India to China to everywhere.
Yeah, like it was said, I would rather have it just to have it to differentiate to somebody other than don't have it and be only the printing standard CMYK printer.
Yeah.
Right.
So what are we talking about when we are considering the sales teams at these print shops? Looks like about 41% ish are very satisfied or satisfied with their sales of digital embellishment jobs. 43 ish are have a neutral stance, and about 14% see some room for improvement. While this a significant portion are satisfied, it looks like there's still room for improvement on sales strategy, market penetration, marketing, messaging for digital embellishment services.
And that's, I mean, Eric, we hear this all the time, is a lot of the owners sometimes will be frustrated because their salespeople aren't necessarily talking about this in the right way, or approaching the new customers that they should be, or hunting new game. And there's sometimes a little bit of friction between what we see, the ownership group and the sales group, in terms of onboarding new technology, not just digital embellishment, but in the past. I mean, Warren, you and I used to talk about this ad nauseum. Whenever you got new technology, if the owner isn't out there kicking everybody, hey, I just spent a bunch of money on this machine. Yeah, exactly. Right. That was one of the big things that, top down alignment is so important.
Yeah, for sure. Not only but not only alignment, but like owners and the top being willing to invest in the things like training, like education, like, making sure that they don't just, it's not just install and, build it and they will come. You've got to make the investment not only in the equipment, but
Well,
in your
that
people.
right, but that's why I say like there's 5 questions a printer has to ask himself before he gets into it, and it's like what are you getting? How much is it going to cost to really sell? What's your cost going to be? And then like you also have to do the training. If you don't factor in some onboarding training and proper selling and or marketing of your own samples, don't buy the equipment.
Yep.
And I'm not to be so harsh, but the reality is you have a great opportunity in front of you, and if you don't do it right, you're going to mess it up.
Absolutely.
So
Oh,
that's exactly. Go ahead, Eric.
speaking of which, yeah, so there's obstacles. We talk about these all the time in our dog and ponies, in our boot camps, and in a lot of the stuff that we do. Like, what are the obstacles out there to digital embellishment sales? Sales team challenges ranked the biggest obstacle, indicating a need for better training, better support, like you said, Warren. Pricing issues, also huge, huge issue. So second biggest, suggesting difficulties in determining optimal pricing strategies. And as we all know, this market is so ripe for value selling and getting away from cost selling or cost plus or best guesses. What you think the market will bear. You can really lean into the value selling, because as everybody on the call has pointed out, I think very fairly, once people see the capabilities of digital embellishment, they want to continue to do it. So that has a lot of leverage for profitability and for pricing it on the high side. File design complexities rank third. Obviously, this is big, highlighting the need for better design tools and processes. We talk all the time about digital embellishment requires an added layer, pardon the pun, of design and expertise, right? And there's an artificial funnel that's been created out in the marketplace. There's like 2,000-3,000, Kevin, designers that are really pros at designing for this stuff. So the more that we can educate, the more that we can kind of democratize it, the more that we'll get rid of that as an obstacle. So these are the top three. Would love, what are you continuing to see as obstacles out there to selling more digital embellishment? Does it track?
It does. I tell you what I just did just a second ago is I typed into AI. I said to it, what are the print markets that would like to use print embellishments? And it gave me a bunch of answers. But I guess
you mean verticals, Al?
Yeah, a lot of different verticals like that. But looking at the obstacles, I would say this, that my younger salespeople, there is no problem for them pushing it. The sales reps that have been around for a long time, they're not as gung ho about it. What we did, we came up with a sort of a tutorial on how to design for all this. And we sent that to a lot of our customers so they would know how to do it and be more effective with it. So that deals with the file design complexities, because there was an issue with that. We had to pretty much do it for everybody. Now we're getting them to do it themselves.
Educating, love it.
Educating, absolutely. Good.
Just one question.
Yeah.
Just one question. What they need to do for you? You said now they do it on their own. What, the design or preparation of the files?
The preparation of the files. I mean, they would tell us, here's what I want to do, and then we would create it for them. Now we're saying, let me show you how you can do it yourself. And once they know how to do it themselves, they're more apt to start playing around with it and experimenting with it more. So now what happens is now that, like, I look at Savannah College of Art and Design, we do a tremendous amount of print for those guys, and they have very creative designers on their staff. They're coming up with cooler ideas now because they know how to do it. So they start playing around with it. So that's been a big plus for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was asking this from the side, how they created the files or designs, in the past for the silk screen or the standard foiling. You know, this is why I ask it on a, let's say, a technical side, not so the designer side. I know they need to think about the varnish, the spillage of the varnish or something like this if we're talking about varnish, but um, I don't know
Yeah,
how to say it.
the fineness of the lines and making sure those fonts not too small, and you're talking about all the technical understanding of what you're going to get. Sometimes it looks a certain way on the screen, but it doesn't necessarily translate onto paper. Is that what you're saying?
For me, yeah. But
Yeah.
in the past they were creating the designs for the silk screen. I don't know what is the, let's say, I know what it is, but let's say for the field, what is the difference between digital and standard?
Oh.
Because my customers, because my customers, most of them basically had especially this one. I was last week in Slovenia for 52L machine. They have a lot of books with flat varnishing,
Yep.
basically silk screen.
Yeah.
So we printed on a training week. We printed more than 16,000 B2 sheets in a week.
Wow.
This is how much jobs they have for this kind of. They basically remove the silk screen and just printing. Basically, 90% of that is flat.
Wow.
Okay, they are print producer. They're not designing. They're just doing the printing and book finishing and everything else. But it's a bigger demand. They just remove the standard the silk screen process from put it out, and they do everything on jet varnish.
Wow. Wow. All right. All right. Eric, let's talk about sales objections. See if this kind of hits home or not. The big one that gets, I guess, overcome, and I guess people get a lot, is that it's difficult to make the cost justification happen. And we hear that a lot where people are just looking to buy a price, and I think sometimes people don't understand. Yeah, your per unit price might go up, but you overcome it with more volume, because not only is it going to be picked up more or sell more. That's what the big brands have understood. What do you think about this cost justification conversation?
Yeah, I mean it's all about value selling and ROI, right? Like if they're used to buying at a particular price, I mean obviously embellishment is going to be more expensive than CMYK. That's just a given, right? But that's the reason why you don't sell on cost, that you sell on value, you sell on the fact that it's unique, that it has that it performs better. You talk about haptics, you talk about all of the things that we try to train folks on, and focus on that ROI. And not only that, but like selling also using case studies that you can leverage of good customers that are getting it, that are understanding it. I think is what's important. And that's I mean, listen, in selling in general, if I just ask anybody selling anything, what's the top objection? It's gonna be cost and price and
You're right. You're absolutely right.
That's just the nature of selling, right? And
But
for everybody, right?
That's what differentiates a good salesperson from a bad salesperson, is that taking cost out of the conversation. Like you just
True.
You just
But
don't
the
do
funny thing is, in all the surveys they do with buyers, price is never the number one issue.
Exactly. Of course.
But honest to God, every time I get in front of someone, or a good percentage of them, they bring it up. And I'm like, well, how is that possible if all the surveys you do and all your buyers do with all the other people, you never say price, yet when a printer walks in, it's always price.
Because you know why, Warren? Because it's not a real objection, it's an excuse.
Right. So
Yeah,
what
I
I
agree
want
with
to
that.
do is, what I want people to do now is, I want people to start thinking penny wise, stop thinking penny wise, pound foolish,
Yeah.
buy a little less quantity, spruce it up a little bit, see what happens. I used to ask people the questions when they'd say, well, give me a price for 1, 3, and 5. I go, but why? You're not going to buy 5. Why do you even want to be tempted by the price? Because when you buy the 5 and you use 2,
Right.
your unit price for what you've used is now way more than the 1,000 that you didn't want to buy in the beginning.
100%.
Yeah.
And I always believe that if you buy less and use it all, then you've warranted the just cause for doing and buying some more of it.
Yeah. There's so much psychology involved in this. I mean, it's if you just take it on face
Well,
value.
you have psychology, and then you have the CFO department who's only talking about the price and nothing else.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Hey
There's a
guys,
lot of,
I've got,
there's a lot of
unfortunately,
things.
I got to run to a meeting.
Okay.
Ow.
I'm sorry. I
Are
was
you going to
late getting
sell
here.
some embellishment?
Yeah. I'm sorry I was late.
Then you
I'm
better
sorry I gotta
go.
leave early, but I enjoyed it, guys. Talk to you later.
All right.
See you
Thanks,
out.
Al.
First in, first out. No,
Bye.
nothing like it. That's awesome. No, I mean, I think that's just the nature of the game. But I mean, I'm really more, I'm not as concerned about that as I am of the next one, and maybe even the third one, the lack of understanding. I think number one is just that's the barrier that's always going to be there. You're always going to have to overcome it. But lack of understanding, we should be able to obliterate that. To be
At
honest,
21%, though, that's really not a bad number in averages. It's
I
low.
think
I
it's
was thinking
gone
it
down.
would be more. It's gone down a lot, but
It's gone down a lot. Yeah,
Big
it's gone down a lot. And then of course design time constraints. This is a big blocker, right? Because it's like, oh, it's going to take
yeah.
additional lead time for us to figure out designing a more complicated piece to be able to, because as you know, Warren, everything's always like, when do you need the stuff? Oh,
Right.
tomorrow. Like it's always
Yeah,
tomorrow.
but stuff for design. I mean, the designers have to be better at telling the customers, you're not going to get the best of me if
Right.
I'm rushing. And everyone knows it, right? Because when you have time to think, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, you get more benefits when you have time.
Yeah.
Right? So there has to be some pushback, there has to be some discussion, but those time constraints and lack of, those are always going to be in the small percentile of people that are never going to do it right.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
Right?
I love that quality concerns is so low.
Well, it was lower last year.
Yeah.
It was like 4 or 5%. So it's up, I think, a couple percent. So we'll wait to get everybody's answers in.
And you know what? I think the more people try in the beginning, the
Yeah,
higher that
fair
will
enough.
go up because they're doing things that they've never done
Yeah,
before.
I think that's what it might be.
And then second go around, they're
Yeah.
going to get better at it, and then you're going to watch their profits go up because they're going to have even less quality concerns.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing that I think we have to remember about all of this data is you really have to contextualize it, right?
Right.
You have to think about what those numbers might mean beyond just the initial gut reaction of is this a good number or a bad number, right?
You know what,
that's-
Eric? Next year on the survey, we have to make a note to ask how long have you been doing this embellishments. So that's
Absolutely.
we can cross tabulate if somebody's been doing it for 5 years, or they have lower quality concerns than somebody who's been doing it for 1.
Yeah. Hey, Fathom, can you make a note that next year we need to ask that question on the survey, please?
That's a good call. There you go. Using that AI. I love it. Okay, so this was kind of interesting, Eric. I think this kind of breaks down the average run lengths, where we're seeing really the majority is under 1,000 sheets, right? That's really where the sweet spots are. And you know, this is, I think a customer told me this once when I sold him a jet varnish back in the day. He goes, Kevin, do you know what my most profitable run is? I was like, what? Like 1 sheet. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
What's your next most profitable one?
Yeah. And I goes, and then what? He's like, 2 sheets. I'm like, yeah, because they're charging $150 for the setup or $180 for the setup. So if you amortize out on 1 sheet, you're making a lot of money off the bat.
So how does this compare to the last survey, Kev?
We didn't. I don't think we
Did we
have.
ask this? No, did we ask?
think
Or
the question
better
was-
yet,
I
maybe
think-
the better question is for the people on the call, even Martin or whoever else wants to chime in. Is this, as somebody that's I don't have a background in running print shops, does this track? Does this make sense? I would think that it would be. I even would think 21% jobs over 1,000 units seems high to me. Am I wrong?
It is
So
high.
I
Yes.
think you almost have to break it down into what are the jobs, because the people that are running business cards will constantly have less sheets
Sure.
to run.
Oh yeah,
versus
they're doing four sheets of paper, and they're
Yeah, because
and
it's a
you got your
smaller
50,
finished
and you have
product.
50 cards.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Right. So that's important to know. Maybe next time we break it down in just different. Well,
What's the job?
I'm sure you asked the other question of what are you printing in embellishment, and then you have your other answers there, right? So you could probably cross-reference some of it.
Yeah, that's Richard Romano is going to do that for us. Martin, you were going to say something.
Yes, two types of jobs basically. You have only one side, the really small runs like business cards for a few sheets, maybe 5 sheets for 100 cards or something like that. And as they are most profitable, but at least we can't load the whole capacity of the machine with them. So we are making those, like I said, full covers and some larger volume jobs. But let's say the sweet spot is between 5 and maybe 200 or 300 sheets, something
I agree.
like that.
I 100% agree with that. 100%. And if you look at like Vistaprint, like what they charge, they're under market pricing, under 30 sheets. And as soon as they hit 30 sheets, their pricing goes totally way higher than market pricing because they don't want jobs over 30 sheets. They want 5 sheets, 10 sheet jobs, and just massive amounts because that's where they're making all their margin.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Which is so not what printers are used to.
Right. But it's a different business model.
It's a different world. No, but it's a different world. The whole digital, the no make ready, the less sheet. When your equipment and you don't have issues starting up, you have minimal waste.
Well, you realize Vistaprint and Shutter, these are IT companies. These are software
But they weren't printers from the beginning.
Exactly. So they have a completely different business model. And one of the big things that we try to teach our customers is like, they'll buy a jet varnish and they'll go on Vistaprint and try to match their pricing and not understand why they're not getting any deals. I was like, because you're never going to get any jobs over 40 sheets because Vistaprint's, pumping that price way up. They don't want that work. So
by the way, I think we all forget this one thing too. The people going to Vistaprint are not necessarily the same people going to regular print shops. It's individuals, it's small companies working at home, right? Less communication, less understanding. And the other thing with Vistaprint is, and I remember going through this, when I remember a friend of mine saying, "Oh, I just got a price for 5,000 cards from Vistaprint, postcards. Do you want a quote?" And I said, screw that stuff. I don't want to know from them. They make me crazy. And then I said, wait. I want to quote it just to compare. And I kid you not, at my full blown price, I was cheaper than Vistaprint. I was 700 to their 1,000.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, it was eye opening. And now not now, but before, when everyone would say Vista, let me quote.
So,
right? And the other thing is I would say to people with Vistaprint is, listen, you're not paying me up front. So you pay them up front, you're not happy, too bad. You don't pay me up front, you're not happy. At least you get to scream at me. You get some value out of it.
That's right, man.
Then we redo it.
Don't make me laugh. You make me laugh. My lung comes up out of my mouth. It's terrible right now.
Sorry.
Not really. So,
yeah, popular. There's lots of applications that are super popular, right? On obviously on the general commercial printing side, everybody nowadays wants to hand over a nice embellished business card, like it's because it's a wow factor. Obviously, brochures, same thing. Direct mail is huge, right? Because what direct mail is, one of the things that separated direct mail for years is the touch factor, the fact that you get something that's physical. So now with digital embellishment, with raised varnish, with foil, with all of the tactile effects that you can have, it's raised the game for direct mail. And I think a lot of marketers are sort of tuned into that. Books is an interesting one. That kind of surprises me a little bit.
Books.
Well, book sleeves.
Yeah. Well, yeah, book covers and dust jackets.
Dust
Uh,
jackets. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I could see some foils in that. Yeah.
Well, listen, do me a favor. Next time you go to the airport or you go to a bookstore, look around. Like every book that you're gonna see out there, look at all those books behind you. If the big ones have laminated cover, embossing, foil, and spot UV. Those are four things that you're going to see on most major books. So it really lends itself to here. The problem was the publishing industry took a kind of a hit, and I think COVID kind of brought it back.
Yeah. Yeah. None of mine have any embellishment.
We're not buying the right books.
Well, you were buying on the low end, you know. Don't do that anymore.
Of course, I'm buying on the low end. What are you, crazy?
Well, how's a guy supposed to sell a book if you're buying on the low end? You're killing your own job. You'll be out of
Hey, I wanna
business
see-
next year if you don't start buying expensive books.
Hey, I want to see some printing of lives,
Listen,
some
I
embellishment.
spend a lot of money on books. You could just look behind me and tell that.
Well, so this doesn't go for the show, but like, you know, you like the pink?
Yep.
Well, too bad that Reiko didn't want to print it for me. I had to go CMYK, but look how good I got it.
Well, that's really good, actually.
It pops with the shirt, actually.
Exactly. So, but if if Rico would have printed for me, I mean, it would have been might have even been a brighter shade of pink, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And if I would have used Rico with Mark Jeeves' color logic system,
Right.
oh my God, I could have had degrading pinks and dark pinks and all kinds of pinks. But I did it by myself, so it was just CMYK.
Well, I thought it was it came out beautiful and
But I did a matte lamb, by the way, just to make
Yeah?
it recyclable.
That's always nice. That's always nice. I love this. I'm a sucker for soft touch, man. I don't have a.
There is nothing better than soft touch. Soft
It's-
touch is the most luxurious feel.
It's. I don't have a. We had it on the What They Think. I don't have a What They Think magazine.
Some people don't like the soft touch feel.
Really?
Yes, I know a few.
Really?
That's wild. I've
Yes,
never met anyone that didn't like it. It was always just like, ooh, let me rub it again. Like it's very
It was
very.
like rubbing the genie.
Yes.
I would sit in a
Yes,
meeting and they
yes,
would hold
yes,
the book and they would go, ooh, and I'd go, hey, don't rub so hard. Something's coming out. Like, go easy.
Yeah.
Most people do that, yes. And that's one of mine, actually, my dog.
Oh, nice.
wow,
If
very
you-
cool.
Yes, yes.
Oh, cool.
Who did the illustration? That's really
so-
awesome.
Actually, I can check.
Oh, it's got a double cover.
Yes, yes, it does. It doesn't say who made the illustration, but
That's really
I can ask the.
really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So I
nice
mean,
that-
obviously, we could talk about packaging and labels and all that all day. That's obviously
But-
just huge market.
But our hour is up, gentlemen. I wanted to thank you so much for an amazing time, guys, for joining us. I know a lot of you couldn't make it because you're busy running production, and you guys always send us some nice comments on the videos.
Are you saying we're not busy?
You are busy, but some people, I guess, are more busy.
I've been
No, I
multitasking the
just
whole
thought
time.
that it was more important that I be here to support you guys.
Thank
I left my whole life behind me to be here.
Warren, I'm not gonna lie, man. I love when you jump on these things.
My man.
You are a phenomenal person. So we got Foil February coming up next month. So all our meetups, all our articles, all our videos are going to be about foil. So if you guys want to come to the Digital Embellishment Designer Meetup, we're doing that on the 11th with Matt Redbear. We're doing the Operator Meetup with Ken Huizenga on the 20th. And the next Salespeople Meetup will be on the 25th. We hope you guys can all join us. Warren, always a pleasure to have you. Martin, welcome to the team. We hope that you can come to more
Thank
of
you.
these. And please, if you have any questions and you want to share with the community, that's what we're here for.
See you,
you.
everybody.
Very
See
nice.
you guys.